Hello everyone. My name is Emily. Welcome back to the channel. Today we are going to do the wrap up for January, all the books that I read during that month, which I am so super excited about. Okay, so I read 10 books and I had one DNF. So I'm going to start with the DNF because we want to get the negative out of the way and then end on one of probably my favorite book of the month. Okay, the DNF was Reaching for the Moon by Katherine Johnson. So this is the Hidden Figures lady. Nonfiction, middle grade. I got maybe 20% in, I think 5 chapters, and I just wasn't feeling it. Nothing against the book or the content or anything like that. This year I really want to read what I want to read when I want to read it, and I just wasn't feeling this. I loved the movie Hidden Figures. It was absolutely fantastic, but this just wasn't hitting right at the moment, so I stopped. Okay, so I read 4 middle grade that I want to talk about. The first one is in the I Survived series. It's the I Survived Hurricane Katrina in 2005. These books are just perfect little quick reads. I listen to them as I drive all over for work. It's about an hour, maybe an hour and a half listen, whatever you want to say. And she does a really good job. Lauren Tarshish is the author. She does a really good job of putting younger kids in that situation, but making it informational and really interesting for all readers. So I really liked it. I can't remember star ratings, but it was good. I will recommend it to kiddos if they ever are interested in something like that. The next one was a true joy and a really fun sort of different thing, Mr. Popper's Penguins. So this is an older book. We follow this man and his family, and he wants to become an explorer, and he loves Antarctica and learning about penguins and everything. And then all of a sudden, a famous explorer sends him a penguin in the mail. And the story just kind of goes on from there. He learns that penguins need friends, so they get another penguin, and then they have babies, and they have this show that they go on the road with. Oh my goodness, it was just so cute and funny. A perfect little book. Again, I listened to it as I was driving for work. It was just adorable. I was giggling to myself. I think kids of all ages would absolutely love it, and being, a 35 almost year old adult, I loved it too. So Mr. Popper's Penguins was definitely a good one. Next is the Nancy Drew Diaries. This is the first one in a series of, I think, about 25. This is the Curse of the Arctic Star. We follow Nancy and her friends, and it's not very long, but I thought it would be more geared toward, 11, 12, 13-year-olds, but Nancy's friend has her boyfriend come along, and the boyfriend is in college. So maybe like 16 and up, because there's the boyfriend involved. Nothing happens or anything. He's just part of the group. But I don't think a 10-year-old would have a boyfriend. So that is something that was a little bit of a shock, but it was a really cute mystery, really good. It does leave on a cliffhanger, which I wasn't expecting, so I'm excited to continue on with the series. There are quite a few, especially in this diary version of Nancy Drew. I've tried reading the originals that were done in like the 50s, 60s, whatever. I didn't care for those, so I tried to do this newer version, and I really enjoyed it. So there's that. Okay. And then my favorite middle grade of the month. It's so cute. It's called The Wish and the Peacock by Wendy S. Swore. Oh, it's so cute. I put a poll on my Instagram page, and this one, and I am so glad it did. It was adorable. We follow this girl, I think her name was Paige. Yes, look at me remembering. Paige and her little brother, and they've had this unexpected death in the family, and they're having to kind of figure things out as they go, and their farm is having to sell. Lots of crazy things are happening. She and her brother get into a lot of shenanigans. They find this peacock in the barn. Anyway, I go into more detail in my vlog for reading new to me authors. So, heads up, I didn't finish all the books, so the vlog is going to come out later in February. So I won't go into too much detail here because I go into a lot of detail in that. But just know that it was adorable, super perfect for middle grade, 4th, 5th grade and up. So adorable, so sweet. Okay, so those were all the middle grade. Let's move into the more adult, geared towards adult type books. The first one, I am so confused by this book. So this is an Agatha Christie. It's called Passenger to Frankfurt. And I think on Goodreads, I gave it 3 stars. And here's why. So I listened to this, which wasn't the problem. Because sometimes with Agatha Christie, she puts a lot of characters in there. And if you aren't following in print, it's hard, at least for my brain, to track the characters a little bit. But that wasn't the case here. This was published in the 70s, so a little bit later than some of her other ones. Yeah, 1970. And we follow this guy, Sir Stafford Nye, and the first chapter had me hooked immediately. He is in this airport. He's a diplomat or some sort of government worker in England. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure, but I think he's some sort of diplomat. And so he's coming home from Frankfurt to England, and he's in the airport, and this woman comes up to him and is like, we don't switch passports, I'm going to get killed. And Sir Stafford Nye is like, what is going on? And he's sort of like la-di-da, he's not quite happy with his life, he likes adventure, he's sort of like blasé about everything. So when this woman comes up to him, was like, we need to switch passports right now, he's like, what? How? And she's like, I'll cut my hair, I'll wear your cloak, we have the same facial structure, it'll work. He's like, okay. And so at first I'm like, well, he's an idiot. Why would you do that? And so it hooked me right away. But then as you got further into the book, I just didn't understand it. Maybe it's probably just a me thing. I'm not smart enough or deep enough to understand what was going on. But it was more, for lack of a better word, political. And I guess I just didn't understand what it was about. Because there are all these different groups that Agatha Christie jumps to. And there's like, anarchy is talked about a lot with student groups in different countries, and it was confusing. And then you never knew who was like the good guy and who was the bad guy. And I just didn't understand it. There were bits and pieces where like, okay, maybe there's a puzzle piece that fits, but then it would go off, it was a crazy roller coaster. And quite honestly, I don't like roller coasters in real life. So reading a roller coaster, not my favorite. So this one was a little bit of a bummer. But I love Agatha Christie for that reason. I have read a dozen, maybe 24 of her books so far, somewhere in that range. And each one is completely different. You don't know what you're getting into. You don't know if it's going to be like a murder mystery. You don't know if it's going to be more suspenseful. You don't know if it's going to be random diplomats changing passports. Like, you just don't know. And sometimes that's fun to go into it being like, what am I gonna get? This bag of this mystery box or this mystery book. I'll kind of read it and see what I think. And this one was a little bit of a flop for me, personally, just because I didn't understand what was going on. So take that for what it is. And if this is one of your favorites, maybe explain it to me in the comments, because I just didn't understand. It's okay. We can all still be friends. Okay. One of the next books that I read is another one of my series. This is the 11th in the series. This is Mrs. Jeffries Questions the Answer by Emily Brightwell. It is one of my favorite series. Because it's the 11th book in the series, it's hard to talk about, but you just follow this group of house staff who works for a Inspector Witherspoon, that's his name. And he is getting better at his job by book 11, but he still has this secret help from his staff. And it's really cute how they all work together, and then there's this little love interest that's happening between two of the characters. And they're quick reads, they're good mysteries. Unlike Agatha Christie, you know exactly what you're going to get with the Mrs. Jeffries series, and I just love them. I'm excited to continue going on. It is a chunky series. There's a lot of books, I think 41 books or something crazy like that. So that's fun. Okay. The next one that just made me so happy and so giggly and just like all warm and fuzzy inside was The Matchmaker's Lonely Heart by Nancy Campbell Allen. She is a romance writer that I just love. Her romance novels, they are clean, they are just adorable. This is set in Regency era Victorian England, and you follow this group of cousins. This is a reread for me, and it was just as good the second time as it was the first time. You follow this group of cousins who are independent women and are working girls, and they work at a newspaper and they write advice columns. And one of the inquiries gets one of our main girl character into a little bit of trouble with the police, and because of that, they help the police solve this mystery. Really cute. You hate the bad guy from the beginning, and he's a really bad guy, or like a good bad guy, because you want to smack him, and you're like, no, don't do that, and you get so invested. This is the start of a trilogy. I'm excited to reread the rest of the series. It's a good read. Pick it up, definitely. Okay. Another series book that I read that I love these so much. This is the Amelia Peabody Mystery Series. It's categorized, that's the word I'm looking for, as suspense as well. It's like light suspense, light mystery combination. They're fantastic. This is the 9th in the series. I wrote it down for you guys. The 9th in the series. I think there are 20 books in the series, so I'm almost halfway done. Woohoo! This is called Seeing a Large Cat. They are a little bit on the bigger side, but they are totally worth it. So good. You follow Amelia Peabody, who is an archaeologist this book is set in 1903. It started obviously in the 1800s. She and her family go to Egypt, and they run into some unsavory characters, and by this 9th book, you love the family, you love sort of the non-biological family that has become part of the family, the side characters. There's this master criminal that Amelia is like, I'm gonna thwart him, and all of these things. It's really, really cute. Just a really good good series. I think I've said this before, but it's like the movie The Mummy in book form. So that's fun. Okay, these next two are probably some of the most favorite books I've ever read, which is saying a lot because I am an avid reader, obviously. The first one is called The Berlin Letters by Catherine Ray. This is deep and intense and so historically filled. It's a Cold War novel set in both Berlin during that time of the Cold War and East Berlin and West Berlin and when the wall came up and all of those different things, but then also in America during the 80s. And so it's dual timeline, but the timelines by the end intertwine. And you follow this woman, what is her name? Louisa Volkler. She works for the CIA, and she realizes that as she's sort of decrypting some code, she's seen this code before, and that leads her to family secrets. And then you follow a journalist, Harris. I'm not going to say the last name because it'll spoil it, but he is in East Berlin. He works for the party, the Communist Party. And over, 30 years, something like that, you follow these two characters and the sacrifice and the craziness that happens during this time. There were parts in it where, you thought they were friends, but then they become enemies. And I'm like, oh, I knew it. And I just got so invested in this story. Catherine Ray is slowly becoming one of my favorite authors. I've read another one of hers, The Austin Escape. That's what it's called. Very, very different. One is romance, and this is more espionage type historical. Both have third act. This has a third act romance that I'm on the fence about. I love me a good romance, and I like how she wove it into the story and that she knew the guy previously to when we meet him on page. But I'm still on the fence because a third act romance, sometimes I feel a little gypped that you don't get the romance through the whole thing, but I understand why we didn't. Anyway, read it if you haven't already because it's remarkable. Remarkable. And then the last book of the month is also going to be in that vlog that I talked about reading new to me authors. And I'll probably say it again in that vlog once it comes out, so you might get a little bit of a repeat here. But after I finished this book, I had a really hard time reading anything else for a little while. I fell in love with this story. And this is Things We Didn't Say by Amy Lynn Green. I should do like one of those brackets and figure out what my favorite book of the year is, because this would be a very likely top contender. Definitely my favorite of the month. And it's so something that if a random person would have been like, yeah, it's epistolary and it's, set in World War II, I would have been like, I like World War II, but epistolary is kind of like, meh. This has changed my mind on epistolary novels. Most of the time, I find them really boring. This was not boring. This is a library book, and I wish it wasn't, because I put, can you see the little tabbies? And then you can see where I started listening to it in the car. It was beautiful. You follow Joanna, and she gets a job back in her hometown, working at a POW camp in Minnesota for German POWs during World War II. And it shows through these letters and newspaper articles and telegrams and all of these different, written media that, the townspeople weren't too happy to have German prisoners, the enemy, in their town. And then her friend is a Japanese American who his family were in the camps. I can't remember what they were called here in America as well. And then, so we got to see, which I've never really seen before, both the European side of World War II, the Pacific side of World War II during throughout Asia, but then also there was a little bit of the North Africa side as well. I've never seen a book where all three were represented. There is a legal case that this is all part of. The ending was superb. Like I said, and I'll probably say this again in that vlog, so excuse the repetition, but I just had to sit with this and think about it because I loved the human aspect of it. You saw all sides of human feeling and how humans react and the growth that a human can have. Truly remarkable. Okay, that is it. I had a fantastic month, which is a great way to start the year. I look forward to seeing you guys in another video. Comment down below on anything that you see and have seen in this video, any books that you would recommend to me. Let's chat down there. I will see you guys again real soon. Bye.